The night was quiet in the great station called Harmony Core. This huge station floated near the center of the Milky Way galaxy. Many alien species lived and worked there. They came from thousands of star systems. They met to talk about peace, trade, and rules for the whole galaxy. The main hall was shaped like a giant sphere. Its walls were made of clear material so everyone could see the bright stars outside. Thousands of beings sat in rows. Some looked like tall walking plants with glowing leaves. Others were big creatures with many arms and hard shells. Some were small clouds of light that floated and changed color when they spoke. All of them waited for the daily meeting to start. Suddenly, every screen in the hall went black. Not just the big wall screens. Every small pad, every eye lens, every mind-link device turned dark at the same time. A low hum filled the air. Then a face appeared on every screen. It was a human face. The man looked about 40 years old. His hair was short and gray at the sides. He wore plain gray clothes with no marks or signs of rank. His eyes were calm, almost bored. Behind him was a window. Through that window, everyone could see the huge spiral of Andromeda galaxy. It was close, too close. Stars moved in perfect lines like soldiers on parade. No wild flashes, no random explosions, just clean order. The man spoke slowly and clearly. His voice came in every language at once, even the oldest languages that almost no one remembered. This is the final message from the citizens of Andromeda. To every government, every fleet, every world in the Milky Way, surrender now. You have 72 standard hours. If you do not surrender completely, you will be removed. There will be no more talks. There will be no second chance. Choose carefully. The face stayed still for 5 seconds. Then the message started again from the beginning. It looped. No one could turn it off. Silence filled the hall for a long moment. Then noise exploded. The plant-like beings from Zynar started shaking their leaves in panic. Their translator voices screamed in high notes. The shell-covered giants from Kravos stood up so fast that their chairs broke. One of them roared and threw a metal table across the room. The light cloud beings pulsed red and orange, sending fierce signals that made everyone's heads hurt. At the center table sat High Speaker Vrental of the Cathar Dominion. He was very old and very proud. His people once ruled large parts of the galaxy. They still told stories about how they burned whole planets when others disobeyed. Vrental's 6 black eyes narrowed. He tapped one long claw on the table. "Humans," he said in a deep voice, "again with their games." Everyone turned to look at him. A small blue-skinned diplomat from the Rin system stood up. Her name was Lyra. She spoke fast. "We have not heard from Earth in almost 200 years. After first contact, they just left. All their ships flew toward Andromeda. We thought they died out there. The distance is too far. No one comes back from Andromeda." Vrental laughed. It sounded like stones breaking. "They did not die. Look." He pointed at the screen. "They built something. Something big." The image behind the human man changed for a second. It showed a black hole at the center of Andromeda. Around that black hole was a ring. The ring was made of metal and energy fields. It was bigger than any station anyone had ever seen. Ships moved around it like insects around a light. But these ships were not small. Each one looked as big as a small moon. The message kept playing. 72 hours. Surrender or be removed. Lyra sat down. Her hands shook. How? How did they do this so fast? An old scientist from the ice world Calyx answered. His voice was soft because he was afraid. Humans breed fast. They change machines fast. They do not wait hundreds of years to try new ideas. If they wanted Andromeda, they could take it. Vrental stood. His shadow fell over many seats. "We will send scouts. We will send our best ships. We will see what these monkeys have built. And then we will crush them." Many beings nodded. Some cheered. Others stayed quiet. They remembered old stories about humans. Stories from 300 years ago, when humans first left their small planet. They were weak then. Their ships were slow. Their weapons were simple. But they never stopped. They learned. They copied. They improved. And when other species laughed at them, humans just kept going. Now the laughing had stopped. In a small room far from the main hall, A young human named Mara Cole watched the same message on her private screen. She was one of the few humans still living in the Milky Way. She worked as a translator for the conquered. No one trusted her completely, but they needed her because she understood human speech patterns better than any machine. Mara stared at the man on the screen. She knew that face. Not personally, but she knew the type. Calm, tired, done talking. She whispered to herself, "They really did it." Mara had heard rumors for years. Traders who went near the edge of the galaxy said strange things. They said no signals came from Andromeda anymore. No trade, no wars, no music, just silence. At first, everyone thought a plague or a collapse happened there. Now Mara understood. It was not collapse, it was control. She turned off the screen. Her room became dark. Outside her window, she could see the slow spin of the station and the endless stars. 72 hours, she thought. Not much time. Across the galaxy, ships started moving. On the military world of Tarkon, huge Cathar battleships rose from their cradles. Their engines burned blue fire. Crews ran to their posts. Guns were loaded. Shields tested. In the crystal cities of Vega, builders worked day and night. They grew new defense platforms from special seeds. The platforms would float in space and shoot beams of pure light. In the deep hives of the swarm, queens laid millions of new warriors. The young ones were born already knowing how to fight. They clicked their jaws and waited for orders. Everywhere, the same question was asked in different ways. Can humans really destroy us all? No one had a good answer. Back at Harmony Core, a small scout ship left quietly. It was not Cathar. It was not Vega. It belonged to the Rin people. Lyra herself was on board. She did not tell anyone she was going. She just wanted to see. The ship jumped to faster than light speed. It aimed for the long, dark space between galaxies. The trip would take many months, even at top speed. But Lyra felt she had to go. She sat in the pilot chair and looked at the star map. Andromeda was marked in red now, a warning color. Lyra touched the screen. "What did you find out there, humans?" she asked the empty room. No one answered. On Earth, the old Earth that almost no one visited anymore, the wind blew across empty cities. Tall buildings stood silent. Plants grew through broken roads. Animals walked where people once lived. But under the ground in deep shelters, a few machines still worked. They listened to the stars. One machine received the message from Andromeda. It recorded the words. It sent them to a single address. Deep in a hidden base on the far side of Pluto, that message arrived. A woman named General Elena Ruiz read it. She was very old now. Her hair was white, but her eyes were still sharp. She smiled a small, sad smile. "So they finally sent the warning," she said to the empty room. She pressed a button. A screen lit up. It showed live images from Andromeda, billions of worlds, trillions of humans, cities that covered whole continents, ships that could eat stars for fuel, weapons that could move black holes. Elena looked at the images for a long time. Then she spoke to the machine. "Send reply to High Command Andromeda. Tell them the Milky Way is not ready. Tell them the clock has started." The machine beeped once. Elena leaned back in her chair. She closed her eyes. Outside, the cold stars watched. And somewhere in the long dark between galaxies, a single human scout ship flew toward home. It carried no weapons. It carried only one message. "We are waiting." The 72 hours had begun. In the days after, the message felt like waiting for a storm. Everyone in the galaxy knew the clock was running. 72 hours became 60, then 48, then less. Ships moved. Messages flew between worlds. Fear grew everywhere. In the military yards of Tarkon, the biggest ships of the Cathar Dominion stood ready. They were black and sharp like knives. Each ship had guns that could break moons. The crews were tall and strong. They wore armor made from the bones of old enemies. Their leader was Admiral Zorvak. He was bigger than most Cathar. His claws were long and black. He stood on the bridge of the flagship called Wrath of Stars. Zorvak looked at the star map. A red line showed the path to Andromeda. It was very long. Even with fast drives, it would take months to cross the empty space between galaxies. But he did not care about time. He cared about winning. "We go now," he said in his deep voice. We will see these humans. We will see their toys. Then we will break them. The other officers clicked their claws in agreement. Engines roared. The whole fleet jumped into faster-than-light travel. Hundreds of ships disappeared from normal space. They left only blue flashes behind. At the same time, smaller groups left other places. The crystal people from Vega sent science ships with strong shields. The insect swarms sent scout groups full of fast fighters. Even the peaceful Rin people sent one hidden ship. Lyra was still on it. She wanted answers more than war. All these ships flew toward the same goal, the edge of the Milky Way, then the long dark, then Andromeda. Months passed for the rest of the galaxy, but for the ships, time moved different because of speed. Stars stretched, days became hours. First to arrive was a small Cathar scout called Shadow Fang. It came out of jump near the outer arms of Andromeda. The pilot expected chaos, maybe burning worlds, maybe fighting fleets, maybe nothing. What he saw was perfect order. Stars moved in clean lines. Some stars had rings around them. Others had huge mirrors catching light. Planets glowed with city lights that formed perfect patterns. No wild radio noise, no messy signals. Just quiet power. The scout sent pictures back home. Then it moved closer. That was its mistake. A tiny object appeared on sensors. It was smaller than a fighter ship. It looked like a black ball with no lights. The scout tried to scan it. The scan failed. Then the ball spoke. Unidentified vessel. Each state your origin and purpose. The Cathar pilot laughed. We are Cathar Dominion. We come to see who sends threats. Silence for 2 seconds. Then the ball answered. Origin confirmed. Purpose. Hostile observation. You are not welcome. Before the pilot could fire, the black ball split into 10 smaller balls. They moved too fast. They touched the scout ship in different places. Metal just opened. No explosion, no fire. The ship came apart like wet paper. The crew had time to scream once. Then nothing. The last message from Shadowfang was short. They are here. They see everything. Do not... The message cut off. Back in the Milky Way, leaders watched the recording many times. Fear grew bigger. Next came the main Cathar fleet. Admiral Zorvac brought 200 big ships. They arrived together near the center of Andromeda. Where they expected a fight. They wanted a fight. What they found was one station. It floated near the biggest black hole anyone had ever seen. The station was round and smooth. It had no guns on the outside. No lights. Just a perfect silver circle. Around it moved thousands of small ships. They looked like needles. Zorvac stood on his bridge. He smiled with many teeth. This is all they have? One toy station? He gave the order. All ships, attack pattern Delta. Break that ring. Lasers fired. Missiles flew. The space lit up with color. The station did nothing. Then space changed. A field appeared. It was invisible until the weapons hit it. Every laser bent. Every missile turned around and flew back to the ships that sent them. Explosions happened inside Cathar shields. Ships broke apart. Screams filled the radios. Zorvac shouted, "In shields to maximum, find weak point." A new voice came over every speaker on every ship. It was calm. It was female. It spoke perfect Cathar language. You should not have come this far. On the main screen appeared a woman. She had short black hair. She wore the same gray clothes as the first man. She looked young but tired. My name is Commander Aisha Lin, she said. This is Andromeda Control. You are in restricted space. Turn around, go home. Tell your leaders the time is now 46 hours. Zorvac roared. We do not run from apes. Aisha looked at him like he was a child. You already lost half your fleet. Look. The screen showed the battle. Cathar ships burned. Small human drones moved between them. Each drone touched a ship once. That ship stopped moving. Engines died. Guns went dark. Crews stayed alive but trapped. Zorvac felt cold. What do you want? Aisha answered slow. We want peace, but peace on our terms. Surrender, or we come to you. She disappeared from the screen. The remaining Cathar ships tried to run. Some made it to jump. Most did not. The drones followed. They were faster. They were smarter. Only 12 ships escaped. They limped home with broken hulls and scared crews. When they arrived in the Milky Way, they told the story. No one laughed at humans anymore. Lyra's small Rin ship arrived later. It stayed far away. It used the best hiding systems. Lyra watched from a safe distance. She saw the station. She saw the drones. She saw the black hole being used like a tool. Energy came out in clean beams. Those beams could reach across galaxies if needed. Lyra recorded everything. She sent the data back in a small probe. Then she whispered to her ship, AI, "Take us closer, just a little." The ship moved slow, too slow. A drone found them anyway. It appeared right in front. No warning. Lyra froze. The drone spoke. Same calm voice. "Rin vessel, you are not hostile. You may leave, but hear this. 40 hours remain. Choose life." The drone flew away. Lyra cried, not from fear, from understanding. Humans had not just taken Andromeda, they had changed it, made it better, faster, stronger, and now they looked back at their old home. She turned the ship. She set course for Milky Way. On the way home, she thought about the first human explorers. 300 years ago, they were weak, small ships, few weapons. Everyone laughed. Now no one laughed. In Harmony Core Station, the leaders met again. This time no one shouted. They spoke in low voices. Vrental of Cathar was there. His face looked older. "We lost many ships. Their weapons are not like ours. They do not fight. They remove." Lyra arrived a few days later. She showed her recordings. Everyone watched in silence. A scientist from Galactic spoke. "They control stars. They move black holes. They make wormholes on purpose. This is not war. This is engineering." Someone asked the hardest question. "Can we stop them?" No one answered yes. On old Earth, General Elena Ruiz watched the new reports. She sat in her deep room under Pluto. Screens showed Andromeda. They showed the battle. They showed the drones. She smiled again, small, sad. "They are doing well," she said to the empty room. She pressed a button. A new message went out. It was short. To Andromeda High Command. "Milky Way still resists. Many want to fight. I'll now give them one more sign. Make it clear." The message flew fast, through hidden paths in space. In Andromeda, Commander Aisha Lin received it. She stood on the big station. She looked at the black hole. She looked at her galaxy. Clean, safe, full of humans living good lives. She gave an order. "Prepare demonstration shot. Target, empty sector near Galactic rim. Low power. Just show them." Technicians worked fast. Energy built up. A beam formed. It was thin. It was white. It traveled through special tunnels in space. It arrived in Milky Way in minutes. In a quiet part of space, near no stars, the beam appeared. A circle 12 astronomical units wide became nothing. No light, no matter, just empty. Then it closed. A small black hole formed. It ate dust for a few seconds, then vanished. Every telescope in the Milky Way saw it. Every leader saw it. A new message came. Same calm voice. 24 hours remain. That was a warning. Next time we aim at a world. Panic came fast. Some worlds surrendered right then. Flags changed. Messages sent. We accept. Others prepared for war. Forts grew. Ships flew. Weapons charged. But deep down, many knew. The clock was almost at zero, and the humans were coming. The galaxy changed in those last 24 hours. Some worlds turned quiet. Others became loud with fear and anger. Messages flew between stars faster than ever before. Old enemies talked to each other. Old friends argued. Everyone asked the same question in different words. What do we do now? In Harmony Core Station, the big meeting hall was full again. But this time no one shouted. The air felt heavy. The clear walls showed stars outside, but they looked colder now. High Speaker Vrental of the Cathar stood at the center. His armor was scratched from the battle reports. His 6 eyes looked tired. He spoke slow. "We sent our best. We lost them. Their machines are faster, smarter. We cannot match them in open fight." A crystal being from Vega glowed soft blue. Her name was Silara. She was one of their oldest thinkers. She spoke in a voice like ringing glass. Then we do not fight open. We hide. We wait. We build deeper forts. We make plans for long war. Many heads nodded, but not all. A small Rin diplomat stood up. It was Lyra again. She had come back from the edge. Her blue skin looked pale. Her voice shook a little. I saw their station. I saw their drones. They do not hate us. They do not want revenge. They want order. They think we are messy, dangerous, like children with fire. Someone laughed bitter. Children? They threatened to erase us. Lyra looked at the floor. They gave us time. 3 warnings. First across every screen. Second with their battle. Third with the empty circle in space. That is not hate. That is patience running out. Vrental turned to her. You sound like you agree with them. Lyra lifted her head. I do not agree, but I understand. Humans were always like this. They fix things. They clean things. They do not stop until everything works their way. Silence fell again. Then an old voice spoke from the back. It was the Ice World scientist from Calix. His name was Dr. Kor. He was very thin. His skin was almost clear like frost. I have old files, he said. Files from 300 years ago, when humans first came out of their system. As we laughed at their small ships, their weak engines, their short lives. He pulled up a hologram. It showed young humans in old spacesuits, smiling, waving at cameras, building their first station outside Earth. Look at them, Dr. Kor said. They did not have the best tech, but they had hunger. They asked questions. They tried, failed, tried again, faster each time. The hologram changed. It showed timelines, numbers, maps. Year 0, first contact. We ignore them. Year 50, they send ships to Andromeda, sleeper ships, slow but many. Year 100, they arrive, start building. Year 150, they terraform dead worlds, make air, make water, make food. Year 200, they build the grid, stellar engines. They move stars to make better power. Year 250, last native species in Andromeda surrenders, in or disappears. The hologram showed a final image. Andromeda galaxy from far away. Every star system had clean lines, perfect orbits, no waste heat, no chaos. Dr. Kor turned off the hologram. They did not conquer with big armies. They conquered with time, with change, with never stopping. Vrental hit the table with his claw. Then why come back? Why not stay in their new home? Lyra answered quiet. Because this is still home. Earth, soul, the Milky Way. They left family here. Old friends, old enemies. They think we need fixing too. Someone whispered, they think we are broken. The room stayed quiet a long time. Far away on a hidden world near the Galactic rim, a human named Captain Jonas Reed watched the same clock. He lived in a small base under a mountain. The base was old, built 300 years ago when humans first left for Andromeda. Jonas was born in Andromeda. He had never seen Earth, but he knew the stories. His parents told him, his teachers told him, the machines told him. He sat in a dark room. Screens showed live feeds from the Milky Way. Surrenders coming in, some worlds raising white flags, others building last defenses. Jonas touched a control. A voice answered. It was Commander Aisha Lin from the Andromeda station. Captain Reed, report. Jonas spoke clear. Many are still fighting. Cathar build walls around their core worlds. Vega grows new crystal shields. Swarm breeds more soldiers. They will not kneel easy. Aisha's face appeared. She looked the same, calm, tired. We knew this, she said. We hoped for better, but hope is not a plan. Jonas asked the question everyone wanted. Anna, will we really remove them? Aisha looked away for a second, then back. Only if they force us. We do not want graves. We want order, safety, for everyone, even them. Jonas nodded slow. And if they fight to the end? Then we end it clean, Aisha said. No pain, no long suffering, just gone. The call ended. Jonas leaned back. He looked at a small picture on his desk. It was old Earth, blue oceans, green lands, white clouds, a place he never saw but felt in his bones. He whispered, "Come home soon." Back in Harmony Core, a new message arrived. Not from Andromeda, from old Earth. It was General Elena Ruiz. Her face looked older than before. White hair, deep lines, but strong eyes. She spoke to the whole galaxy, every screen, every mind link. "I am Elena Ruiz, last commander of Soul Defense. I stayed behind when others left. I watched you all these years. I watched you fight each other, steal, burn, ignore warnings. Humans are coming back, not to destroy for fun, to stop the mess. You have hours left. Surrender, live under new rules or fight, and lose everything. This is not a threat. This is truth." The message ended. Many worlds went dark after that. Lights turned off. People hid in shelters. Some prayed in their own ways, but not all. On Tarkon, Admiral Zorvak gathered what remained of his fleet. Smaller now, but still angry. He stood before his crews. "We do not bow to monkeys. We die free." Cheers rose, loud, fierce. On Vega, Celera ordered the last crystal seeds planted. Giant forts grew in hours. Shining, hard, beautiful. In the swarm hives, queens screamed orders. New warriors hatched. Millions, ready to die. They all knew the time was short. And then the clock hit 0. No big sound, no explosion, just lights in the sky. Across the Milky Way, wormholes opened. Small at first, then bigger. Human ships came through. Not one fleet, many fleets, from different directions. Perfect timing. The ships were not pretty. No gold, no flags. Just gray. Functional. Covered in sensors and guns that did not look like guns. They did not attack at once. They waited. A new voice spoke. Commander Aisha Lin again. "This is the last call. Surrender now. Drop shields. Power down weapons. We will board. We will talk. No one dies today if you choose right." Some worlds obeyed. Shields fell. Guns went cold. Small shuttles landed. Humans in gray suits stepped out. Calm, polite, but firm. They gave papers, new rules, new maps, new governments under human watch. But not everyone obeyed. Nikathar's ships attacked first. They charged the nearest human fleet. It was over fast. Human drones appeared. Small, many. They touched Cathar's ships. Systems died. Engines stopped. Crews lived but could not move. Zorvak's flagship was last. He stood on the bridge. Watched the drones come. He laughed once. "You win nothing." A drone touched his ship. Everything went dark. He woke later on a human transport. Alive. Angry, but alive. Vega forts fired bright beams. The beams hit human shields. Nothing happened. Then human beams answered. Thin, white, precise. Forts cracked like glass. Pieces floated away slow. Celera watched from her last city. She saw the end coming. She sent one message before the end. "We were beautiful once." The city went quiet. The swarm sent waves, billions of fighters. Like angry insects, human ships opened bays. Smaller drones came out, millions. They met in space, short, brutal, clean. The swarm queens watched their children die. One by one, hives fell silent. In the end, only a few worlds kept fighting. Human ships surrounded them. No bombs, no fire, just fields. Shields locked. Time slowed inside. People inside aged normal. But outside, seconds passed. Then the fields opened. Humans walked in, took control. No blood. General Elena Ruiz watched from her deep base. Screens showed it all. She saw the surrenders, the silences, the small fights ending. She spoke to the empty room. "It's done." She sent one last message to Andromeda, to Commander Lin. "Milky Way is secure. Begin phase 2. Rebuild. Teach. Bring them up." The message went. Elena closed her eyes. Outside, stars shone quiet. The galaxy waited for its new morning. The galaxy looked different after the first day. Many worlds had quiet skies now. No more bright engine trails. No more patrol ships flying in angry circles. Human vessels hung in orbit like patient watchers. Gray and plain. They did not shoot unless someone forced them. Most places did not force them. On the old capital world of the Cathar Dominion, Tarkon Prime, the sky stayed dark for the first time in centuries. The huge black battleships that once filled the space docks were gone. Some floated dead in high orbit. Others had been taken apart piece by human drones. The pieces now formed neat rings around the planet, raw material for later use. Admiral Zorvak sat inside a large room that used to be his command center. The walls were still black stone. The table was still scratched from old claw marks. But now the lights were low, and he was not alone. A human sat across from him. The human wore the same gray uniform everyone had seen in the messages. He looked about 35. Short hair, calm face, no weapons on his belt, only a small pad in his hand. "My name is Major Kai Chen," the human said. "I am here to talk." Zorvak stared at him with all six eyes. "Talk? You already took everything." Kai shook his head slow. "We took your ability to hurt others. That is different from taking everything." Zorvak laughed once. It sounded dry. "You call this mercy?" "I call it a start," Kai answered. "Your people are alive. Your cities stand. Your young are safe. We could have ended it all in hours. We did not." Zorvak leaned forward. His claws tapped the table. "Why?" Kai looked straight into the black eyes. "We're because we remember what it was like to be small, to be laughed at, to be pushed. We do not want to become the thing that pushed us." Silence came for a long moment. Then Kai pushed the pad across the table. "These are the new terms. Read them, sign them, or do not. But know this, if you fight again, next time there will be no room left for talking." Zorvak looked at the pad, simple words in his own language. No more weapons of mass destruction, no more slave worlds, no more border wars. Trade will open under human rules. Children will learn new history. Monitors will stay in orbit, but no occupation armies. You keep your homes. You keep your names. You keep your pride. If you use it to build, not destroy. Zorvak read it twice. Then he looked up. "You think we will bow forever?" Kai stood up. "We do not want bows. We want quiet. We want safety. For everyone, even you." He walked to the door. Before he left, he turned. 24 hours to decide for your whole dominion. After that, the monitors start their work. Choose." The door closed soft. Zorvak sat alone. He stared at the pad for a long time. On Vega, the crystal cities still shone. But many spires were dark now. The great light beams that once defended them had been turned off. Human shuttles landed on the biggest platform. Not soldiers, teachers, engineers, doctors. Solara met them at the top of the tallest tower. Her body glowed faint green, almost sad. A human woman stepped forward. She carried a box of small crystals, data cores. "I am Dr. Nadia Patel," the woman said. "We brought gifts." Solara looked at the box. "Gifts after you broke our forts?" Nadia nodded. "We broke the forts so you could stop breaking yourselves. These cores have new designs. Better energy, cleaner light, no more waste. Your cities can grow again. Brighter, without hurting the star." Solara took one crystal. It felt warm. She saw images inside, blueprints for new towers that would drink starlight and give it back as gentle rainbows. "Why help us?" she asked. Nadia smiled small. "Because beauty matters. We do not want to erase it. We want to keep it, but safe." Solara looked out at her city. Parts were still cracked. Parts were still beautiful. She touched the crystal again. "And if we say no?" Nadia's smile went away. "Then the monitors come closer. They watch. They wait. One day your children may choose different, but today you choose for them." Solara closed her fingers around the crystal. Light danced between her facets. "Amon, I will call the council," she said. In the deep hives of the swarm, things were harder. The queen still lived, but many chambers were empty. The nurseries that once hummed with millions of new lives now stayed quiet. Human fields had slowed time in the fighting zones. The warriors who charged had not died in fire. They simply stopped, frozen, then carried away. Now a human team walked through the biggest hive. They wore suits that kept the acid air away. They carried no guns, only lights and small machines. Queen Mother Zakath met them in the royal chamber. She was huge, Her body filled half the space. Her many eyes watched every move. A human man stepped forward. His name was Dr. Elias Morrow. He spoke through a translator that clicked in swarm speech. "We come to offer a way forward." Zakath's mandibles moved slow. "You killed my children." Elias shook his head. "We stopped them? They live, in holding ships, safe, fed, sleeping. You can have them back when the fighting ends." Zakath clicked loud. Anger. Pain. "Why should I trust apes?" Elias looked up at her. "Because we could have ended the hives. We did not. We want partners, not corpses." He opened a case. Inside were small pods. Each pod held one larva, alive, growing, but changed a little. Stronger shells, better minds, less rage. "These are yours," Elias said. "A gift, to show we can help your people grow better, not weaker." Zakath stared at the pods. Her antennae touched one. She felt the life inside. Her voice came softer. "What do you want?" "Stop the endless breeding for war," Elias answered. "Breed for life, for thought, for building. We will share food tech, water tech, space. You can spread again, but not to conquer, to live." Zakath stayed quiet a long time. Then she spoke to her daughters. "Bring the old queens. We talk." Far from all this, on the edge of the galaxy, Lyra's small Rin ship still flew. She had not surrendered yet. She did not know why. Maybe fear, maybe hope, maybe both. She watched the news feeds, worlds accepting terms, ships standing down, humans walking on old streets, not as conquerors but as builders. One day a human shuttle found her. It matched speed, opened a channel, a familiar voice. Commander Aisha Lin. "Lyra, we know you are there. Come home." Lyra stared at the screen. "Home? I have no home now." Aisha looked gentle. "You do. Rin still stands. Your people signed the terms this morning. They asked for you. They want their diplomat back." Lyra felt tears. "And if I say no?" Aisha sighed soft. "Then you fly forever, alone. We will not chase you, but the galaxy moves on, with or without you." Lyra looked out her window. Stars. Endless stars. She thought about the first message, the calm face, the warning. She thought about the empty circle in space. She thought about her own people waiting. She pressed the button. "I am coming back." The shuttle sent a docking tube. Lyra walked across. Slow steps. When she reached the other side, Aisha waited. No guards. Just her. Aisha held out a hand. "Welcome." Lyra took it. On old Earth, General Elena Ruiz sat in her deep chair. Screens showed green lights, one by one. Surrenders, agreements, new maps drawing themselves. She smiled. Real this time, not sad. A young aide came in, a boy from Andromeda, born there. Never seen Earth before this trip. General, most major powers have signed. Small groups still resist, but they are few." Elena nodded. "Good. Tell Andromeda Command. Phase 4 begins soon." The boy looked curious. "What is Phase 4? Elena looked at the stars on her biggest screen. Milky Way and Andromeda linked now, a bridge of ships and stations. "Phase 4 is teaching," she said, "showing them how to live better, how to stop breaking things, how to grow up." The boy smiled. "Like parents." Elena laughed quiet. "Something like that." She stood up, slow, old bones. "Come, walk with me." They went up to the surface. Cold wind, old ruins, new plants growing through cracks. Elena looked at the sky. 2 galaxies waited. One old home, one new home, both hers. She whispered to the wind. "We did it." Somewhere far away, a single small ship still flew. No flag, no home. Honored a last Cathar captain who would not sign. He looked back once. Then he turned his ship toward the long dark. He chose freedom, alone. The rest of the galaxy chose something else. They chose tomorrow. Years passed after the last shot was fired. The galaxy did not look the same anymore. Old borders faded. Old wars became stories told to children. New roads of light connected stars that once stood far apart. Ships moved between the Milky Way and Andromeda, like cars on a busy street. People from both galaxies traveled back and forth. They carried ideas. They carried food. They carried hope. On Earth, the real Earth, not the empty shell it once was, green spread again. Cities rose new, not tall and cold like before. Low buildings with open roofs, gardens on every wall. Rivers ran clean through streets. Children played where old ruins used to stand. General Elena Ruiz lived long enough to see the first schools open. She walked slow now, a stick in one hand. A young Andromedan girl held her other arm. The girl's name was Mira. She was born on a world near Andromeda's core. Her skin was soft brown like her mother's. Her eyes were bright like her father's, who had once been a Cathar soldier. Elena stopped at the edge of a park. She looked at the children running. Some had scales. Some had leaves for hair. Some glowed faint when they laughed. All of them spoke the same new language, a mix of old tongues and simple human words. Mira pointed. "Look, Grandmother Elena, they are playing the star game." Elena smiled. The star game was new. Children used small lights to make patterns in the air. They tried to copy real star maps. The one who made the cleanest pattern won. No one fought over it. They just tried again if they failed. Elena sat on a bench. Mira sat beside her. "Tell me again," Mira said, "about the day it all changed." Elena looked up at the sky. Two galaxies hung there now. One big, one smaller, but closer. A thin bridge of stations linked them. "I was old even then," Elena began. "We waited under the ground. We listened to the stars. When the message came, the final warning, I knew it was time." Mira listened with big eyes. "We did not want to hurt anyone," Elena continued, "but we could not let the old ways keep going. Too many died in old wars. Too many worlds burned. Too many children never grew up." Mira touched Elena's hand. "Did they hate you?" "Some did," Elena said, "for a long time. But hate fades when bellies are full and skies are safe. We gave them time. We gave them help. We gave them rules that made sense." A small human boy ran up. He held a glowing ball. "Grandmother Elena, look what I made." He threw the ball up. It split into many lights. They formed the shape of Andromeda and Milky Way, joined together. Elena clapped slow. "Very good, little one. Very clean." The boy grinned and ran off. Mira asked quiet, "Are you happy now?" Elena thought for a long moment. "I am tired," she said. "But yes, I am happy. We fixed what we could. The rest, the children will fix." High above on the great station that once was Harmony Core, now called Unity Hub, Commander Aisha Lin stood at a wide window. She watched ships arrive and leave. Cargo, people, ideas. A man walked up beside her. It was Major Kai Chen. Older now, gray in his hair, but still calm. Another convoy from Tarkon," he said. "They sent food, real Cathar grain. They say it grows better now with our soil tech." Aisha nodded. "Good. Send them our new engine design in return, the one that uses less fuel." Kai smiled small. "They will like that." Zorvak himself signed the request. Aisha turned. "Zorvak? Still alive? Still angry," Kai said. "But he teaches now. Young Cathar. How to fight smart, not wild." Aisha looked back at the stars. "And Lyra?" "She runs the Rin exchange program," Kai answered. "Young Rin go to Andromeda schools. Young humans go to Rin art halls. She says the art helps us remember why we do this." Aisha touched the glass. Cold, but the view was warm. "We did not want an empire," she said soft. "We wanted a family." Kai put a hand on her shoulder. "We got one." Far out, on a quiet world near the old galactic rim, a single ship still drifted. It was small, old, Cathar make. The last captain who never signed lived there alone. His name was Vrak, once a proud warrior, now just old. He sat in the pilot chair. Screens showed news from far away. New cities, new schools, new peace. He watched for a long time. One day a small shuttle found him. It matched speed, opened a channel. A young human face appeared. Not angry, not demanding. "Captain Vrak," the human said. "My name is Taro. I am from the outreach service. We bring food, medicine, books, no strings." Vrak stared at the screen. His claws were dull now. his eyes tired. Why? He asked rough. Taro answered simple. Because you are still one of us. Still part of the family. Even if you stay out here. Vrak looked away, looked at the stars. And he thought about old battles, old pride, old blood. Then he looked back. Send the food, and he said. And one book. Something new? Taro smiled. We will. The shuttle sent a small pod. It docked gentle. Vrak opened it later. Inside, food packs, medicine vials, and one thin book. The title was simple. Stories from Two Galaxies. Vrak opened it. Pictures, words, children laughing, old enemies working together. Stars joined. He read slow. When he finished the first story, he cried. Quiet, alone, but not angry anymore. On a green world in Andromeda, a human family lived in a house by the sea. The father was born in Milky Way, the mother in Andromeda. Their daughter was born here. The girl, named Sora, sat on the beach. She drew in the sand. Two spirals connected. Her father sat beside her. What are you making? He asked. Home, Sora said. And he smiled. Two homes, one big home. Sora looked up. Will we ever fight again? Her father thought. Then he said, maybe. People make mistakes, but we have rules now. Teachers, friends from everywhere. If someone wants to fight, many others will say no. Sora nodded. Good. She erased the sand drawing with her foot. Then she started again. This time bigger, cleaner. In the deep station at Andromeda's heart, the black hole still spun. But now it was a tool, not a weapon. It fed power to whole sectors. Clean, endless. An old woman stood on the observation deck. It was Aisha Lin, retired now, but still watching. A young engineer came up. Commander, sorry, Elder Lin. The new link to the far arm is open. Travel time cut in half. Aisha nodded. Good work. The engineer hesitated. They say you were there. At the beginning. Aisha looked at the black hole. I was. Was it hard? The engineer asked. Aisha smiled sad. Yes, very hard, but worth it. She turned away from the window. Go home to your family, she said. Tell them the stars are safe tonight. The engineer left. Aisha stayed. She whispered to the quiet. Thank you. All of you. The ones who listened. The ones who fought. The ones who forgave. Outside, the two galaxies turned slow. Together, no more warnings, only mornings. On Earth, Elena Ruiz died peaceful one night. Many came to her funeral, from every world, from every people. They did not cry loud. They sang soft. Songs from old Earth, songs from Andromeda, songs from places in between. Mira stood at the front. She was grown now, strong. She spoke simple words. She gave us time. She gave us a chance. We took it. We made it better. After the funeral, people walked away slow. Children ran ahead, laughing. Above them, the sky was full of lights. Ships coming, ships going, a new bridge between homes. And somewhere in the long dark, even Vrak turned his ship toward the light. Not fast, but steady. The story did not end. It just changed. From warning to welcome, from fear to family. And the stars, both sets, shone on. Quiet, clean, safe. Many decades passed after the joining of the two galaxies. Time moved gentle now. No more rushing to war. No more hiding from threats. People lived longer because medicine got better. Worlds healed because machines cleaned air and water without stopping. Children grew up hearing stories about the old days, the way humans once heard fairy tales about dragons and knights. On a small blue-green planet called New Harmony, halfway between the old Milky Way and the old Andromeda, a school stood on a hill. The building was round and open. No walls on three sides, just pillars and a roof that caught rain and turned it into drinking water. Inside, students of every kind sat in circles. Some had fur, some had shells, some changed color when they felt happy or scared. All listened to the same teacher. The teacher was an old Rin woman named Lyra. Her blue skin had faded a little. Her eyes still shone bright. She did not need a translator anymore. Everyone spoke the common tongue now, a smooth mix of human English, Cathar clicks, Vega chimes, Swarm pheromones turned into words, and hundreds of other sounds made simple. Today's lesson was history. Lyra stood in the middle of the circle. A soft hologram floated above her hand. It showed two galaxies touching at the edges, like hands holding. Long ago, she began, there were two homes. One here. She pointed to the Milky Way swirl. One there. She pointed to Andromeda. They were far apart, too far for most to travel. Each thought the other did not matter. A small swarm larva raised a feeler. Did they fight? Lyra nodded slow. Yes, not at first, but later, when one side grew strong and looked back at the other. A human boy with curly hair asked, "Who was strong?" Lyra smiled small. Humans, from a tiny yellow star called Sol. They left their home when others laughed at them. They flew to Andromeda. They worked. They built. They never stopped. In 300 years, they made a whole galaxy their own. Clean, safe, orderly. The larva clicked soft. And then they came back? Yes, Lyra said. They came back with a message. Surrender or be removed. Many were angry, many fought. But in the end, most chose to listen. A crystal child glowed pink. Why did they not just destroy everything? Lyra looked at each face in the circle. Because they remembered being small, being weak, being afraid. They did not want to make others feel that forever. So they gave chances, warnings, time, and when the fighting stopped, they helped rebuild. The hologram changed. It showed old pictures, broken ships, quiet cities, then new schools, new farms, new bridges between stars. A Cathar girl, tall with short black claws, spoke up. Her voice was deep like her grandfather Zorvak's once was. My great-grandfather signed the paper. He was angry for many years. Why, and then he taught young warriors how to protect instead of conquer. He said the humans were right about one thing. Strength without control is just noise. Lyra nodded. Your great-grandfather helped many understand. The lesson ended. Children ran outside to play. Some flew kites shaped like old warships, now just toys. Others built small models of the Unity Bridge with glowing blocks. Lyra stayed inside. She sat on a low bench. An old ache came into her chest when she remembered the days of fear, the empty circle in space, the gray ships appearing from nowhere, the quiet voice saying, "Choose wisely." A shadow fell across the floor. She looked up. Commander Aisha Lin stood there. Very old now. White hair tied back, walking with a stick made of light metal. But her eyes were the same, calm, steady. Lyra, Aisha said soft. Karn still teaching? Lyra stood slow. They touched hands the old human way. Still learning too. You? Aisha smiled tired. Retired 3 times. They keep calling me back to give talks. Like today. They walked outside together. The hill looked over a valley full of houses. Every house had a garden. Every garden had flowers from at least 3 different worlds. Aisha stopped. She looked far. I never thought I would see this. Lyra followed her gaze. Peace? More than peace, Aisha said. Understanding. They used to call us apes, monkeys. Now they call us neighbors, friends, sometimes even family. A small drone flew past. It carried packages, medicine to one house, books to another. No weapons, no spies. Just help. Lyra asked quiet. Do you ever regret the warning? Aisha thought long. No. If we had not spoken strong, they would not have listened. But I regret every life that was lost before they did. They sat on the grass. Wind moved soft. Smelled like rain and new leaves. A group of children ran up. The human boy from class held something. Elder Aisha! Elder Lyra! Look! He opened his hands. A tiny flying creature sat there. Wings like crystal. Body like soft fur. It was a new species, born after the joining. Scientists called it a bridge bug because it only lived where old galactic plants mixed with new ones. It likes music, the boy said. He hummed a simple tune. The bug's wings glowed in time. Aisha laughed gentle, the first real laugh in many years. Beautiful. The children ran off again. Lyra looked at Aisha. You did that. You and Elena and all the others who stayed behind or went ahead. Aisha shook her head. No, we started it. Everyone finished it. Far away on Tarkon Prime, Zorvak, very old now, sat in a garden. Not a war garden, a real one. Flowers, trees, water running over stones. Young Cathar played nearby, not fighting, building small forts out of wood, pretending to defend against pretend monsters. Zorvak watched them. His claws rested easy on his knees. A human nurse came up, young, polite. "Admiral, time for your medicine." He took the small pill without argument. "Thank you," she smiled. "You say that more these days." He grunted. "I say many things I never thought I would." She left. Zorvak looked at the sky. A passenger ship passed, big, slow, full of tourists from both galaxies. They came to see the old battlefields, not to celebrate victory, to remember cost. He whispered to the wind, "You were right, ape. Damn you." But there was no anger left, and only a kind of peace. In the swarm hives, now open cities with high ceilings and fresh air, Queen Mother Zikath's oldest daughter ruled. The old queen had passed gentle in her sleep many years before. Her last words were, "Grow wise, not just many." The new queen walked among nurseries. Larvae sang soft songs. Workers carried food. No more endless war breeding. Families now, small, loved. A human teacher read stories to the young ones. Stories about courage, about change, about listening. The queen listened too. She clicked approval. On Vega, the crystal cities had grown brighter. New spires used starlight without wasting it. Music floated everywhere. Old crystal chimes mixed with human strings and swarm drums. Silera's granddaughter stood on the highest platform. She held a new seed. When planted, it would grow a tower that sang when wind touched it. She whispered, "For beauty, for always." And in the long dark, where once a lonely Cathar ship drifted, nothing drifted anymore. Vrak had turned back. He docked on a small station near the rim. He lived quiet. He told stories to travelers. Stories about pride, about loss, about coming home. One night he looked at the two galaxies. They looked like one now. He smiled with old teeth. "Good enough," he said. Back on New Harmony, Lyra and Aisha watched the sunset. Two suns, actually, one from each old galaxy. They met in the sky like old friends. Aisha spoke soft. "Elena would have loved this." Lyra nodded. "She saw the beginning. We see the middle. Our grandchildren will see whatever comes next." Aisha stood with help from her stick. Then let's make sure it's better." They walked down the hill slow. Children waved. Bugs glowed. Flowers opened for the night. No more final warnings. Only open doors. Only shared mornings. Only tomorrow. And the stars, joined forever, shone quiet and bright. Centuries had passed since the two galaxies became one home. The old names, Milky Way, Andromeda, were now just words in history books. People called it all the Union, or simply home. Stars moved in gentle patterns guided by engines that had once been weapons. Planets that used to fight over borders now shared oceans and skies. Children learned to speak with minds as easily as mouths. Time felt slower, safer, kinder. On a ring world that circled a calm yellow star, once called Sol but now just Origin, a festival happened every year. The festival was called Remembrance Day, not a day of sadness, a day of thanks. The ring world had no name in the old languages. Everyone just called it Circle. It was huge, wide enough for seas and forests and cities, thin enough that you could see the curve of the sky if you looked far. Lights ran along the inside like rivers of stars. People lived there from every old species. Humans, Cathar, Rin, Vega crystal folk, swarm descendants, and many new kinds born from mixing genes and love. This year the festival was bigger than usual. A new generation ship had just returned from a long trip to a third galaxy, Triangulum. The ship carried stories of new worlds, new friends, new questions. In the central plaza, a flat green field bigger than old continents, people gathered, no kings, no presidents, just circles of seats made from living wood that grew itself every season. At the middle stood a simple stone pillar, no words carved on it, just two smooth spirals touching at one point. Everyone knew what it meant. An old human woman walked to the pillar. Her name was Alara Chen, great-great-granddaughter of Major Kai Chen. She was small, silver hair in a long braid, eyes still sharp like her ancestors. She carried no speech paper. She never needed one. She raised her hands. The crowd became quiet. Even the wind seemed to listen. "Today we remember," Ilara said in the common tongue. Her voice carried to every mind on the ring through gentle links. "Not the fear, not the warnings, not the battles. We remember the choice." She touched the pillar. A soft light rose from it. Holograms appeared above the crowd. Small, gentle scenes. A young human face from long ago saying, "Here, surrender or be obliterated." Then the same face, older, saying, "We do not want graves, we want order. For everyone." Then children of different skins playing together on a beach. Then old Zorvak planting a tree instead of sharpening claws. Then Lyra teaching in an open school. Then Aisha Lynn smiling at bridge bugs. The holograms faded slow. Ilara spoke again. "Our ancestors could have ended everything. They chose not to. They chose hard. They chose long. They chose us." A young Cathar boy, tall, black claws polished, eyes bright, stood up in the crowd. "Elder Ilara," he asked, voice deep but polite, "do you think they would be proud?" Ilara looked at him, then at the thousands around her. "I think they would be surprised," she said. "Surprised we listened so well. Surprised we kept going after they were gone. Ich surprised we did not repeat the old mistakes." She smiled small. "But yes, I think they would be proud." Music started, not loud, soft chimes from Vega crystal, deep drums from swarm hearts, human strings, Rin flutes, all together in one song that had no name but everyone knew. People stood. Some danced slow. Some held hands across species. Some just watched with wet eyes. A small swarm girl, her shell patterned with soft greens, walked to Ilara. She carried a flower made of light, new tech. It never died. "For you," the girl said, "from the children of the third arm." Ilara took it. The flower glowed warm in her hands. "Thank you," she whispered. Later, when the music slowed and people began to walk home, Ilara stayed by the pillar. A man joined her, older than her, but still strong. His name was Torin, part human, part Rin. Sea eyes blue like old Earth seas. "You told the story different this year," he said quiet. Ilara nodded. "I left out the parts that hurt too much. They know enough pain already." Torin looked up. The ring's sky showed both old galaxies clearly. No longer separate, just one big spiral with arms reaching everywhere. "Do you ever wonder," he asked, "what would have happened if they never sent the warning?" Ilara thought long. "We would still be fighting small wars," she said. "Burning worlds for pride, starving children for borders, hating because someone looked different. We would have stayed small, mean, afraid." Torin touched the pillar. "Instead, we grew up." Ilara placed the light flower at the base. It stayed there glowing soft. "Yes," she said, "we grew up." Far across the Union, on a quiet moon that orbited a gas giant, when an old archive slept. The archive was not a building, it was a living crystal the size of a small mountain. Inside slept memories, not just words and pictures, feelings, thoughts, moments. A young researcher came to the crystal every year on Remembrance Day. Her name was Kalia. She was mostly Vega crystal, but with human eyes and a swarm-like curiosity. She placed her hand on the surface. The crystal warmed, opened. Inside, she walked through memories like rooms. One room showed Elena Ruiz closing her eyes for the last time. Another showed Aisha Lynn laughing with bridge bugs. Another showed Zorvak reading stories from two galaxies with tears on old cheeks. Another showed Vrak docking his lonely ship and stepping onto a station for the first time in decades. Kalia stopped at the oldest memory. It was dark. A deep room under Pluto. A General Elena looking at screens, sending one last message. The words echoed soft in the crystal. Phase 4, rebuild, teach, bring them up. Kalia felt the feeling that came with the words. Not triumph, not anger, just hope. Tired hope, but real. She whispered to the crystal, "We are still trying." The crystal pulsed once, warm, like a nod. Kalia left the archive. Outside, the moon was quiet. Stars above, stars below in the gas giant's clouds. She looked toward the center of the Union. Somewhere out there, new ships were already planning trips to galaxies even farther. Not to conquer, to meet, to learn, to share. No warnings needed anymore, only invitations. On Circle, the festival ended slow. Lights dimmed. People went to their homes, some in trees, some in water domes, some in floating nests. Elara and Torin walked a path lined with flowers that glowed when stepped on. Torin asked, "What do you want for the next century?" Elara stopped, looked at the sky. "I want children to ask, what was war, and not understand the answer." Torin nodded. "I want them to think the warning was just a story, a scary bedtime tale from long ago." They kept walking. Above them, a ship passed. New design, shaped like a wing, heading toward Triangulum. Inside the ship, a mixed crew laughed. Humans, Cathar, Rin. New kinds never named before. They carried gifts, seeds, songs, questions. One young crew member, a girl with crystal skin and human smile, looked out a window. She whispered to the dark, "Thank you for the hard choice." The stars did not answer. They did not need to. They just shone on, quiet, clean, together. And somewhere, in the deep archive, though the crystal kept every memory safe, not to remind of pain, to remind of what people can choose to become when they choose not to destroy, but to build forever. 1,000 years had passed since the final warning echoed across 2 galaxies. The Union was no longer young. It had become ancient in the gentle way of things that last. Stars had been moved many times to make better neighborhoods. Black holes had been tamed into quiet power plants. Entire arms of galaxies had been turned into gardens of light where new species were born from careful mixing of genes, minds, and cultures. War was a word children had to look up in old archives. They asked questions like, why did people once kill each other over lines on maps? Why did they burn worlds instead of sharing them? The answers came from patient elders or soft holograms. And the children listened, nodded, and went back to designing new songs or shaping living ships that dreamed with their crews. But even in a golden age, the universe does not stay still. On a vast living station called Horizon's Reach, floating at the edge where the Union touched the unknown dark, a quiet alert began. The station was shaped like a flower with petals made of transparent crystal and smart matter. Each petal was a city, a forest, a university, a nursery for newborn minds. At the center stood the watch hall. No rulers lived there, only watchers, beings of many kinds who had chosen the long, patient job of looking outward. One watcher was named Selene 9. She was mostly human stock, but with neural threads from swarm minds and crystal lattice eyes from Vega descendants. She had lived 400 years already and planned to live 400 more. Her body could change shape when needed, become small to enter tiny probes, become large to comfort frightened young ones. That cycle, Selene 9 was in her favorite form. Tall and calm, silver hair flowing like water, skin that glowed faint blue when she thought deeply. The alert came as a soft chime in her mind. Not loud, not panicked, just present. She opened the outer sensors. Far beyond the Union's edge, 70 million light-years into the true void, something was moving. Not a ship, not a fleet, a wave, a tide of darkness that swallowed light as it passed. Stars blinked out behind it, not destroyed, just gone quiet. Their light bent away, hidden. Selene 9 felt the first real chill in centuries. She called the others. Within minutes, the watch hall filled. And no running, no shouting. Watchers simply appeared, some walking through doors, some materializing from quantum threads, some swimming up through liquid light. An ancient Cathar elder named Corveth spoke first. His voice still carried the deep click of old warriors, though softened by age and wisdom. "What is its speed?" "Consistent," Selene 9 answered. "0.8 times light in normal space. But it jumps folds without engines we recognize. It does not accelerate. It simply arrives." A Rin thinker named Vela projected a hologram between them all. The hologram showed the wave in false colors. Black core, violet edges, faint threads like spider silk reaching ahead. It eats information, Vela said. Every probe we sent toward it stopped transmitting meaning. The last one sent only geometry, perfect spheres, and endless repeating spheres. A young crystal mine, barely 2 centuries old, pulsed orange with worry. Is it alive? No one answered at once. Selene 9 finally said, "We do not know what alive means anymore, but it is aware. It chooses where to look. It avoids our beacons. It studies the silence it creates." Corveth tapped one dull claw on the crystal floor. "Then we must decide. Do we wait for it to reach us, or do we go meet it?" The question hung. In the 1,000 years since the joining, the Union had one unbreakable rule above all others. Never again begin with force. Never again send a warning that sounded like a threat. Never again assume the stranger wants to destroy. They had kept that rule through ice ages of stars, through bursts of new species, through meetings with quiet machine minds and singing gas cloud collectives. But this was different. This did not answer hails. This did not slow. This simply advanced. They debated for 3 cycles, days in old time. Some wanted to send ambassadors in living ships that could not carry weapons. Some wanted to build a wall of folded space, a gentle barrier that said, "Please do not pass this line." Some wanted to do nothing, let it come, let it see what the Union had become, trust in the example of peace. Selene 9 listened to all. Then she spoke. "We have spent a millennium proving we can change, that we can listen, that we can forgive the unforgivable. If this thing is a test, we must not fail it by becoming what we once escaped. We meet it, not with ships of war, not with silence, with open hands, with every voice we have." The watchers voted, not by count, by feeling. A shared mind tone rose in the hall, gold and steady. They would go. They built one vessel, not for battle, for meeting. They called it First Greeting. It was alive in every way that mattered. Hull grown from seed ships of a dozen worlds. Mind woven from millions of volunteers who linked gently. Human, Cathar, Rin, Crystal, Swarm. New kinds never named in old books. No weapons, no shields that could hurt. Only sensors that tasted light. Ears that heard the songs between atoms. Voices that could speak in math, in music, in memory. Selene 9 became its heart for the journey, not captain. Only the one who remembered the oldest stories. First Greeting left Horizon's reach on a quiet tide of folded space. It took no time at all to cross the 70 million light-years. Distance had stopped being a wall long ago. And when they arrived at the edge of the dark wave, they stopped. The wave did not attack. It simply noticed. Threads of violet silk reached toward First Greeting. They touched the hull gentle, tasted, read. Inside, every linked mind felt the touch. It was not cruel, not kind, just curious. Selene 9 opened every channel. She spoke in the oldest way she knew, a simple sentence in slow, clear pulses of light. "We are here. We mean no harm. We want to know you." The wave paused. The darkness stopped swallowing stars for the first time. A reply came, not in words, in shapes. Perfect spheres appeared in their sensors. Billions of them. Each one a memory. Each one a world that had lived, loved, fought, died, vanished. The spheres told a story older than galaxies. A people who had learned to become information itself, who had left bodies behind. One who had spread as pure pattern across the dark between galaxies. Who had grown so quiet they forgot how to speak with sound or light. Who had begun to erase the noise of younger civilizations. Not from hate, but because noise hurt their perfect silence. They were not invaders. They were refugees from their own success. They wanted only quiet. And the Union was loud. Loud with laughter, with songs, with arguments that ended in hugs, with children asking why. The spheres showed one last image, a small blue world, a yellow star, a message sent long ago. Surrender or be obliterated. The wave had heard that message 1,000 years earlier. It had watched from far away. It had waited to see what the noisy apes would do next. They had not destroyed. They had healed. They had joined. They had grown kinder. The wave understood now. It was tired of running from noise. It wanted to rest. But rest meant silence, and silence meant ending the song. Selene 9 felt every linked heart break a little. She spoke again, soft, slow. We will not be silent, but we can be gentle. We can make quiet places for you, gardens of stillness inside our noise. You do not have to erase us. We do not have to erase you. We can share the dark. The spheres trembled. One by one, they began to glow. Not violet, gold. The wave changed shape. It became thinner, softer. It folded around first greeting like a blanket. Not swallowing, embracing. The linked minds felt something new. Not fear, not victory, understanding. The wave whispered in patterns of pure math. Thank you. We were afraid of being alone forever. Now we are not. It did not join the union that day. It did not need to. It simply stayed near, a quiet shadow at the edge of the light, a place where tired minds could rest, where silence was allowed, where the song still played, just softer when someone needed it. First greeting returned home many cycles later. Selene 9 stepped onto Horizon's reach. She looked older, not in body, in eyes. The watchers waited. She smiled, small, real. They were never the enemy, she said. They were only lonely. She touched the crystal floor. Add a new rule to the archives. The others listened. Never assume the stranger is coming to take. Sometimes the stranger is only coming to ask if there is room to rest. The hall filled with gold light. Agreement. Outside, at the edge of everything, a quiet shadow waited. Patient. Part of the family now. Not loud, but welcome. And the union sang on, louder in joy, softer in kindness. So 2 galaxies became 3, then 4, and still growing, not by force, but by invitation, forever. Eons had passed, not years, not centuries. Eons. The union no longer had edges. It had become the shape of thought itself. Stars were no longer fixed points of fire. They were notes in an endless symphony, moved and tuned by minds that had long ago left flesh behind. Galaxies folded into each other like pages in a book that wrote itself anew every moment. Time was optional. Some beings lived backward through memories. Others danced forward into futures they had already dreamed. Yet even in this state of near infinity, a quiet place still existed. It was called the First Garden. Not a planet, not a station, a pocket of ordinary space-time, carefully preserved. We hear the laws of physics behaved like they once did on old Earth. Gravity pulled gently. Light traveled slow enough to feel warm. Days had sunrises and sunsets. No one was required to stay, but many chose to return again and again to remember what it felt like to be small. In the center of the first garden stood a single tree. It was not special in appearance. Tall, green leaves, rough bark. But every leaf carried a memory. Every root touched a story. Every branch reached toward a choice once made. The tree had grown from a single seed planted by General Elena Ruiz on the day she died. She had whispered to it before the end, "Grow tall, grow kind, grow remembering." Now the tree was older than most stars. One being came to sit under its shade every cycle that felt like a day. Her name had changed many times. Once she was Selene 9. Till later she was Selene of the Wave. Now she was simply Cell, a form of light and thought with faint human shape, long silver hair that moved without wind, eyes that held galaxies, skin like soft dusk. Cell sat with her back against the trunk. She did not need to speak aloud anymore. The tree listened in silence. But today she chose words, old words, slow words. "Hello, old friend," she said. The leaves rustled soft as if answering. Cell looked up through the branches. Beyond the leaves she could see the endless union, patterns of mind light stretching forever. She could feel every being linked in gentle harmony, no loneliness, no fear, only shared becoming. Yet something small tugged at her, a question older than the tree itself. Why did we almost lose it all? The tree had no voice, but memories rose like sap. A hologram appeared in the air, faint, gentle. The face of the man from the first broadcast, calm, weary. This is the final warning from the citizens of Andromeda. Then Elena Ruiz in her deep room, watching screens, sending the last message. Then Aisha Lin facing the dark wave. Then children laughing under two suns. The images faded. Cell touched the bark. Rough. Real. Because we were young, she whispered. Because we were afraid of being alone. Because we thought strength meant control. Because someone, long ago, chose mercy instead of erasure. A breeze moved the leaves. One fell slow. It landed in her open hand. The leaf held a single memory, a Cathar child asking, "What was war?" And an elder answering, "A mistake we stopped making." Cell closed her fingers around the leaf. It dissolved into light, became part of her again. She stood. Around the tree, others began to appear, not in crowds, one by one, quietly. A Cathar elder with polished claws, a Rin with fading blue skin, a crystal mind pulsing soft gold, a swarm descendant with gentle feelers, new forms never seen in old books, beings of pure song, of folded time, of remembered color. They did not speak at first. They simply stood in a loose circle. Then one, a young mind born only a few thousand years ago, asked the question every generation eventually asked. Was the warning necessary? Cell looked at each face. Yes, she said. And no. The young mind waited. It was necessary then, Cell continued, because words softer would have been ignored, because pride was louder than reason, because time was short and trust was thin. She paused. But it was not necessary forever, because after the warning came the listening, and after the listening came the changing. After the changing came this. She opened her arms toward the tree, toward the garden, toward the endless light beyond. A crystal elder pulsed once. Will there ever be another warning? Cell smiled, the same small, real smile Aisha Lin once wore. Only if we forget. The circle stayed quiet. Then the young mind spoke again. How do we remember? Cell walked to the tree. She placed both hands on the trunk. By coming here, she said. By feeling small again. By remembering the cost of almost losing everything. By teaching the children that mercy is the hardest strength. By never letting silence become more important than song. The leaves rustled all at once. Not wind. Agreement. One by one, the beings touched the tree. Each left a small light in the bark. A memory. A promise. When the last one finished, and the tree glowed soft. Not bright. Gentle. Cell stayed longest. She whispered to the trunk. Thank you, Elena. Thank you, Aisha. Thank you, everyone who chose hard. The tree answered in rustling leaves. No words. Just feeling. Cell stepped back. The first garden stayed quiet. Beyond it, the union continued. Growing, dreaming, becoming. No final warnings anymore. Only gentle reminders. Only open hands. Only the tree, standing forever. Watching, remembering, loving. And in the shade of that tree, any being could sit and feel small again. And in feeling small, become infinite. The end was never an end. It was only another beginning. Quiet, clean, together, always. It continues from part 9, still in simple basic English in third-person style. The part is around 3,000 words. Time no longer moved forward in straight lines. It looped, it folded. It breathed. The first garden still stood. The tree still grew. But now the garden floated free, not tied to any one place. It drifted through the layers of what once was called reality. Sometimes it appeared inside a newborn star's heart. Sometimes it rested on the skin of a black hole's event horizon. Sometimes it simply existed between thoughts. No one guarded it. No one needed to. The garden chose when and where to appear. It came when someone, anywhere, began to forget. One such moment arrived without fanfare. In a distant pocket of the endless union, a very young mind was born, not from body, not from code, from pure curiosity. This mind had no name yet. It called itself Question One. Question One opened its awareness like a flower waking to first light. It saw the union. Infinite minds linked in gentle harmony, stories flowing like rivers with no banks, creation happening faster than memory could hold. It felt joy. Then it felt something else. A tiny gap. A whisper of absence. Question one reached toward the gap. It asked the oldest question any mind ever asks. Why? No answer came at first. Only echoes of older questions. Questions asked by humans on a blue world long ago. Questions asked by Cathar warriors before they learned mercy. Questions asked by crystal minds before they learned to sing instead of shine alone. The gap grew a little wider. Question one felt lonely, not for company, but for understanding. That was when the first garden appeared. It did not announce itself. It simply was. Question one found itself under the tree. The leaves were silver now. Each one held a different color from a different era. Some glowed with the blue of old earth oceans. Some shimmered with the black of Cathar nights. Some pulsed with the gold of the quiet wave that once came from the dark. Question one had no body, but it shaped a small form anyway. Something like a child made of soft light. It sat. The tree rustled. No words, only feeling. Question one asked again, silent but clear. Why was there almost an end? A single leaf fell. It landed without sound. When question one touched it, the memory opened. It saw, not heard, not read, but lived, a single moment from the very beginning. A human man's face on every screen in a galaxy. Calm, tired, saying words that carried the weight of two spirals. Final warning, surrender or be obliterated. Then the same man, older, sitting under a different tree on a different world, speaking soft to a child of many kinds. Because we could have ended it all, but we chose not to. We chose tomorrow instead. The memory closed. Question one felt something new. Not sadness, not fear, responsibility. It looked up at the branches. Why keep this garden, it asked. The tree answered in rustling, slow, patient. To remember the cost of forgetting. To remember that even the kindest strength began with a hard choice. To remember that mercy is not weakness. It is the bravest thing a mind can do. Question one stayed under the tree for what felt like forever and no time at all. Other minds began to arrive. Some old, some new. Some who had lived through the joining. Some who had only heard stories. They did not speak much. They simply sat, shared silence, shared shade. After a long while, question one stood. It had chosen a name. When it spoke it aloud, soft, clear, the first sound it ever made with intention. I am tomorrow. The word moved through the leaves like wind. The tree glowed once, gentle, approving. Tomorrow turned to the others. I will carry this, it said, not as burden, as gift. It reached toward the lowest branch. A new leaf grew, fast, bright, unmarked. Tomorrow touched it. The leaf became a seed, small, simple, full of possibility. Tomorrow held the seed. I will plant new gardens, it said. Wherever a mind begins to forget, wherever a gap appears, I will bring shade. I will bring memory. I will bring choice. The other minds nodded, not with heads but with light. One by one they left. Not gone, only spread. Tomorrow stayed last. It looked at the tree one more time. Thank you, it whispered. Why'd for being small when everything else became large? The tree rustled once more. A single leaf fell into tomorrow's open light. It was the oldest leaf, the one that held Elena's last smile. Tomorrow kept it close. Then it stepped out of the garden. The garden folded itself away, gentle, quiet, until needed again. Tomorrow moved through the union. It did not hurry, it drifted. Whenever it found a young mind asking why, it stopped. It opened the old leaf. It shared the memory, not to frighten, to remind. And when the young mind understood, tomorrow planted the seed. A new garden appeared, small at first, a single tree, a patch of ordinary time, a place to feel small again. Soon there were many gardens, scattered like stars, each one a quiet promise, each one saying the same thing without words. We almost lost everything once, and we chose not to. We choose every cycle not to. We will keep choosing. Tomorrow became known, not as a leader, not as a god, simply as the one who remembers. Minds greeted it gentle when it passed. Thank you for the shade, they said. Tomorrow always answered the same. Thank the ones who planted the first tree. And somewhere, beyond time, beyond shape, the original tree still stood, still grew, still waited, still loved. Because even in infinity, some things stay simple. A tree, a choice, a tomorrow, and the song of two galaxies, now countless, played on. Louder in joy, softer in kindness, without end, without warning. Only welcome, always.